Alright, so today's video, we are watching a Silver Moira on PC, and then this is their description right here. The first round of this game wasn't horribly bad. Okay, ready. Restart this one. The first round of this game wasn't horribly bad. We had a Tracer and Sombra as DPS. By the end of round 1, I asked nicely if the DPS could please switch to do a little more damage. Oh, that always goes well. They refused to switch and told me I need to learn how to play the game. Our tank ended up switching to Winston because that's what our Tracer suggested they do, even though they would not switch themselves. Winston Tracer is a good comp, though. I felt like I was not able to provide heals at times because I had to focus on doing damage to make up for the DPS. Looking back at it, maybe I could have switched heroes to help the team, but I'm not sure what else I could have done in this situation. I can play Mercy and Kiriko too, but always lean towards Moira because I feel like I am able to get the most value out of her. I would like some advice on how to deal with situations like this. Well, without seeing the game, zero context, etc., it seems like you're already hard focused on your DPS player this game and you're so much worried about their damage that this comes down to, I've talked about it before, where players will hard focus on something that's happening in the game and will always assume that's the whole issue in the game. Like, oh, I'm hitting tab and my DPS doesn't have the DPS number I'm looking for, therefore I need to go do DPS now, and now I'm upset. So we'll see what happens, but sometimes that's also what can do it. Wait a second. Is Sombra the DPS too that also you were talking about damage? Because Sombra's going to have less damage to begin with. I'm starting to wonder if that's what this is. It wasn't specified, but like, your Sombra will have less. The Tracer was the one they said wouldn't swap, right? You know, so like that's where that discussion was. But is it the Tracer with the low damage? But it's gonna be the Sombra. I know it now. Because I look at the Tracer. The Tracer is super active in the backline right now and already got a pick. I wonder if it was. This is just a little side note. And even if it wasn't the Sombra, are you ready for this? I'll do it towards the beginning of the video too. Sombra will not have a lot of damage in your game. Sombra's playstyle does not really promote the concept of finishing the game with 10, 15,000, 20,000 damage. Just to give you an idea, I have finished top 500 games and won them with a Sombra who will have 5,000 damage. But everything they're doing, if we want to just go off of stats, is the equivalent of 15,000 damage. Sometimes it isn't about that damage number. We've talked about this quite a bit, but Sombra will generally, I'm not saying you can't have good games on Sombra damage-wise, but there's going to be a lot of games where your Sombra will have a lot less damage. A lot less damage. They burst kill people down quickly, and they have to do rotations to get out of team fights. Most of their time is being a disruptor more than it is being 20,000 damage on the scoreboard. Just remember that, especially with Sombra. Now, I'm not saying the Moira was blaming the Sombra here, but I also wanted to get that point out because I've had to discuss that a few times. But based off of what I'm seeing, you can even see with the L charge here, Tracer's doing damage. Sombra is doing exactly what you expect from Sombra. And if that's where you think you're lacking damage output, then that will become a part of an issue to begin with. So, hey, the Sombra got on the limb on Sombra and Tracer gameplay. It could go great. Sombra and Tracer can synergize very well. Granted, it requires teamwork, so I'm not sure if like they're communicating in this game, etc. But yeah. I would like to see a little bit more damage orbs from you. I see this sometimes with Sombras where you really... This will be a healing orb. But, like, I see a lot of Sombras that will go a little bit more towards the healing side of things. I wouldn't mind seeing more damage orbs. And I know that chat's like, more damage orbs? Come on, my Moira's now. The balance of a good Moira a lot of the time will be a balance between damage and healing. And you can really min-max that. By the way, range of your heals, you're not going to heal a Tracer 40 meters across the map, just so you know. Damage orb? Nope, that's a healing orb at the floor to heal for 2. See the value you're losing with that healing orb, by the way? Do you see? I need to see something here. Wow, that is so unlucky, chat. Look at this. Look where the Tracer is. But because the Orisa ult rises so high into the air, and you can kind of see the animation here, the Tracer dies. Oh, I just need to see how that looked. Yes, damage orb does that, exactly. And some players actually haven't actually... Like some players, a lot of players know now, but your damage orb gives you your resources back. And what I mean by that is, like, your damage orb will give you some of your healing resource back. So you can kind of min-max your healing and your damage. So if you're say you're having to overheal a little bit, you use your damage orb to get that back, and you can keep those heal rotations going, right? So just remember that too. That was certainly an EMP. That was very nice of the Sombra to wait till the Bob was, to make sure they didn't EMP the Bob, because if you EMP the Bob's done for the whole team fight. So like right now, yeah, there we, oh yeah, this is the synergy right now between you and your team and your healing orbs is unreal. Rank Silver. Damage orb. Damage orb. Perfect. Good job. I love that. Good value. Truthfully, this is going to be on your Duggar Queen for being too aggro. You're good. Damage orb. Damage. Yeah. Good damage orb. Perfect. Now watch your resources. See the resources going up? Perfect. There you go. Good balance. Damage orb. Wonderful. Loving it. Remember, your damage orb will get damage that you don't even expect to get. You're not using your range effectively sometimes. You're doing nothing with that. You're using a little bit too resource. Damage orb. Perfect. Loving it. That is quite the 1v1 there. All right, double support ult. It's ranked. I'm not going to really go over the top of that one. If it was a match and you're on a team, there's going to be discussion about the double support ults. If you're in a ranked game, I ain't worried about it. At this point, I think you ran in front of your life lever. I don't know if it wasn't on purpose, but that's probably gonna get your queen killed. Wow, that healing orb certainly was gonna be an orb. Yep, there goes Bob again. So you just keep losing to Bob. Remember, Sombra players, you can hack the Bob. Wait for it. That's a damage orb. All right. Remember the range, by the way. Yep. Okay. I'm okay with the healing orb, but I don't really know if it will... Alright, well, that's just you have the point. Mira, thanks for the 14 months of the tier 1. Thank you. Appreciate it. Good ult. Damage orb right side. Oh, I mean, I guess it's fine. I thought there was more right side. That worked out, too. For your team, everything's good. I mean, like, the interesting part about you mechanically is, like, you're making, like... Your movement's been okay. You've been making, like, you know, decent plays. I think a lot of what you do is... It feels like this is one of these games where you hard focus so much, and I'm going to assume it was your Sombra not having a lot of damage, when in reality, I think that's where you kind of didn't look at the game as much in this one. And that's why sometimes I always say focus on... Try not to hard focus so much on that. Like, Sombra Tracer in general is going to have a low damage amount. So if you're hitting tab and you're going... Well, that was a huge EMP. If you're hitting tab... Right? And you're going, oh, I can't believe that my Tracer Sombra have way less damage than the Ashe Cassidy. That's clearly the problem here. That doesn't tell the whole story. And it's funny because I think we just had a video recently where we talked about where, like, the scoreboard, while at times can be useful, also doesn't tell the whole story of a game. Right? Like, it doesn't tell the, like, there's, if you have a Sombra Tracer, your damage output you're going to see on the scoreboard is going to be a little bit less. It just is. Straight up. Which means it would be like, and I don't know what the scoreboard looks like, but it would be like the other team going, oh, what is my team doing? What are you doing, support? You have way less healing, right? You have way less healing than the other, like, you know, Moira on the other team. It's like, yeah, but they have a Sombra Tracer, so they're not doing as much damage, so they can't heal as much. Does that tell the whole story of the game? No. I mean, your healing numbers could be, you could have 2,000 less healing, 3,000 less healing on your team because they're going to get the Sombra Tracer. Honestly, I'm not really going to comment on your position in there. You actually were in an okay spot. That was a good shot by Ashe. I got nothing on that one. That was just a good play. He said the Life Weaver just lift Moira into the castle? I mean, you got to do that, right? Yeah, I agree. I think, like, if I really had to focus on one thing, it really is that, like, let's say that you needed to figure out how to, like, fix the issue with your team here, right? Let's say that you're going here, okay, listen, we need to synergize as a team. What's going wrong? This ain't a lack of DPS. It ain't a lack of your team's ability to try to heal. It really is you have a very aggressive tank who is taking a lot of poke damage. Once again, tank players, any rank you're in, minimize poke damage you take. Your supports are going to love you. Because a lot of tanks will constantly just keep taking damage, and they expect to be healed. Your issue now is your team has to commit so much to that, and because your team is taking constant poke damage, that's where the true problem will lie here. It's not hard focusing, oh, I need to do damage now because my teammates aren't doing damage. That's not the case here. At least in my opinion. You're not looking at your queen, but you do have Life Weaver, so there's a little bit of a safety net there. I mean, I don't even mind this. Like, is it bad that I don't even mind this play right there? I like that play. I actually like what you did there because you have your Life Weaver, so you can rely on your Life Weaver to save your queen. It doesn't happen, but, like, I don't mind that. Like, I think that's an okay play. So, yeah, I like that. That is like the small plays you can do sometimes that you can bring value to your team still without being too far away. Like a lot of like your queen like dying here is good target focus by the other team and just bad positioning by your tank. Like this is no. This is. Let me explain something here. And the reason why I don't like this, right? Why? And the reason being is like this is great. Why is it good? You're right here. They're stacked up. You can get good damage or value. You have cover. When you overcommit to the backline like that, like you're now giving the other team opportunity. And look at that. A huge EMP happens. Obviously, the Bob gets value. But like instead of you just sitting there and being with your team and trying to go for things, you go into the backline and try to make a play. And this is where I say, you said you were focused on like, oh, our DPS needs to do more damage. I thought I had to do more stuff. You've kind of almost like, I'm not saying like you tilted yourself, but like you kind of like, you're so hard focused on this one issue in the game that because you haven't even identified where your team is struggling, you now think it's because of your DPS, which your DPS, you have 9 seconds on the clock against an Ash Cassidy comp, and we're a team fight away from being able to hold this or even get it to no time on the clock, okay? That is not a DPS issue at all. I mean, don't get me wrong, like there can be moments where you can be in this and like your DPS are struggling a little bit, but like you do not have to worry about your damage numbers across the board there. Plays like that is where you will lose the game. Plays here, love this play. When you were here, that was a great idea. I loved it. Your tank died because they were out of position. Your Life Weaver wasn't able to get the pull. A lot's happening there, right? I like that play. But diving into their backline with this much time, especially when you can win the team fight and just win the game, or at least win the team fight, that is where it's a bit of an issue. And that's where you struggled here on that. So, once again, chat, it's important I point out the good plays and the bad plays because it's easier to... I always want the players to keep the good plays happening. I don't want them to fix their bad plays and stop doing their good plays. That's why we try to kind of focus on both. You get what I'm saying? So, it goes from, you know, at the very worst, your team have 0 on the clock, etc., to your team literally gives up 3.4 seconds, and now you're in, okay, we need more damage output mode. You have Sombra Tracer. Yeah, we don't really know what's going on, like who's arguing, etc. Like, they actually mentioned the Tracer specifically, like how the Tracer told them to go Winston, but they weren't swapping. Tracer is fine here. I'm telling you right now. I am telling you, having a Tracer in your team comp will not be a bad thing. I'm not saying that the Tracers are going to play like the Tracers that I see in top 500 games, but I think they've got enough value to where I'm not too worried about it, so. Remember, don't get in the habit of these healing orbs that you're doing. The healing orbs are fine, but you don't need to... These healing orbs you're doing, I want you to think about the value that you're getting from the healing orb. Okay, so let's start with this. Think about the value you're getting from the healing orb and the value you're losing with the damage orb right there, and tell me which orb would be better. Your healing orb is getting very minimal value. Exactly. Someone said it. Healing orb to heal 3 damage. In comparison to a damage orb, middle of the point, plenty of opportunity. See that Ash with low HP right now? Imagine a damage orb back there. Not saying you get the limb, but look at that. Makes it more difficult. Look at the Moira's HP. You see what I'm saying? All the value you're losing from your damage orbs because you're throwing these random healing orbs that go off the ground. Think about the value there. Good damage orb. Good damage orb. Love it. Doesn't go to like their Junkrat there, but like the value of that damage orb is way more than before. Now you can heal an orb if you want to keep your Winston alive, but you don't even have to. Truthfully, I would just leave the heals for your bat. Or actually, no, you both need heals, but wow, that healing orb really was something. You really, what a treat. Good start, right? Great start. Damage orb. Damage orb. See if the challenge to your Orisa to eat. What? This is, do you see what you're doing with your healing orbs? You don't even need to do that. You literally can tap your heal your BAP up for like 40 damage, and then throw a damage orb to get all that resource back. Like, I know this is like not answering your question about like your DPS, etc., but like your healing orb usage right now has not been good. It has just not been good. This rank is silver 2 or something like that. This could be an okay healing orb if you wanted to, but the damage orb is still better. Only reason why I said that is because your team was stacked and had enough of that damage, right? Ult right away if you want to. I like the idea of the damage orb. I don't mind the ultimate. Get aggressive for the Mercy. Don't focus on the Orisa. Don't focus on the Orisa. There's no point to. Whatever, it's fine. We got the Orisa. Perfect. Great. And it's funny because, once again, you were so hard focused on talking about how your DPS, I need to do this, I need to do more because of my DPS. Let me ask you a question. So far, you have the same DPS line. What's changed? You're doing that. Your playstyle hasn't shifted much. You're still throwing random healing orbs on the floor. You're doing damage here and there, but what's changed? DPS are playing just fine. You notice this? How it's not an issue? Here's the problem I have. If your Tracer goes in right now, goes to make a play, gets rolled, you're going to be so hard focused, right? You're going to be so hard focused on your Tracer, like, oh, my DPS, what are you doing? That you're not going to allow this game to go the way that it could go by just focusing on playing the game half the time. You get what I'm saying? Yes, you get resources from the damage orb too. Yes, the damage orb gives you resources back. It's very important. They changed that really early Overwatch too, so if you were an Overwatch 1 player especially, like, it can still not be something that, like, some players can be used to. But in Overwatch 2, they changed it pretty early on to get your resources back. It basically makes it so you can balance your... That's why I always say a really good Moira that we'll have in games will... we want to talk stats. They'll be like 10,000 damage, 10,000 healing. 15,000 damage, 20,000 healing. Like, you see numbers like that frequently because they find a good balance. Remember, by the way, there's going to be a team fight you're going to lose. Could be this one. Healing orb is fine here. Good healing orb. I don't mind that. That is a good healing orb. That's an example of you having to use a healing orb. It got the value you could have gotten. I'm okay with that. That's totally fine. This is going to happen. Okay, and just to pause. And I feel like I want to get people in the mindset of this. And I'm not saying it happens all the time. You ready for this really amazing hot take sometimes? You're going to lose team fights sometimes. So if you lose this team fight, you don't have to just hit tab and be like, okay, what are you doing, Tracer Sombra? Why aren't we winning this? Your team just snowballed, had a great first few team fights. Sometimes you're going to lose a team fight. It will happen. Let me rephrase that. Technically, there's going to be games where that won't happen, and I'm sure people who play push know exactly what I'm talking about. There will be games where you could get rolled, but a lot of the time, if you have your team's playing well and things are going well, you're going to lose a team fight. It's going to happen. You don't have to get angry about this one team fight. I'm not saying you did. I just want people to get in the mindset that sometimes it's okay to lose a team fight. They're going to have ults. Your team used a bunch of ults to get there. They're going to have ults. They're going to have positioning. Just refocus on the next fight. Okay, I got to listen. Okay, I was listening to the sound. Okay, here we go. Damage orb. Good Reaper ult. Good Reaper ult. Still winnable game, though. Still a winnable game. You have your ultimate. DPS the Mercy. That's a healing orb. That's certainly a decision. All right. Good job. Reaper's going to have to use Fade. Remember, think about the objective at this point. If your team stays near it, you would have had it already. Unfortunately, you've gone into I need to go in DPS them mode, and then you don't get the point. So there you go. You were so focused on your DPS and having to do DPS for your damage because you're so worried about that you could have just gotten the point, didn't get the point, and now you have to go back and take a team fight again. See? This is a Spectating, yes. OWCS starts in a little bit under 2 hours. And will you look at that, chat? Will you look at that? You talked about your DPS players, all this, and then who was the player to make a play? You know what my favorite part about that was? That after all of that, they went and EMP'd 1v5 and got rolled. But they got you the point, okay? Listen, it happens. I'll take the point over a bad EMP right there. I'm just saying. I will take capping the point there over a bad EMP. Yep. I'm okay with the healing orb there. Good Reaper ult. I understood why you did that. That was fine. Yeah, they'll get EMP quickly. I mean, obviously, they would have preferred to have EMP there. You can just EMP all their ults, but it happens. Because the Winston must be feeding the Reaper. I mean, it's certainly not the best hero there. You know, I would suggest your Winston swaps fairly soon. I think it's getting tough because of the Orisa. But keep in mind, this was also a request by their teammate telling them to stay on Winston or go Winston because they wanted to go Winston. So, you know. All right, you lost 2 teammates to that. It happens. Yeah, you're having fun now. This is really... Oh, wait, just go to your spawn door. Just go to your spawn door. Just to your left. You'll be fine. All right, Tracer got a pick on Mercy. That was huge. We can't. No, there's no comms. We're not gonna be able to hear comms. Yeah. You know, I was going to question your Moira ult, but then that window just happened, and I don't think I can. I think, and they one-upped you, so I got nothing on that one. Healing Orb's fine there. I get what you're going for. It missed by a mile, but I get what you're going for. Damage Orb. Damage Orb. Thank you. Good damage orb. Very good damage orb. Very good damage orb. Do it one more time. Yes. Yes, there we go, the damage orb. Hey, honestly, you're probably going to lose this team fight anyway, so it's fine. Damage orb one more time, just throw it. There we go, love it. And you built like 60% ult charge, okay? You needed ult charge anyway. You have EMP, stop typing your teammates. Stop typing your teammates. There's 20 seconds left in the game. Focus on this team fight. You literally have the best ultimate in the game of EMP. Huge start by Tracer. All right. That is an EMP decision. That was certainly something. Good Winston bubble, by the way. Holy crap. What a Winston bubble. Heal your team. Heal your team. This could be a healing orb situation. Okay, I like the idea. It missed by a mile, but it was a good idea. Oh, you're in the ult. Oh, you're honest. Uh-oh.
Hi.
Yeah, I was going to say, good damage orb. Use your ult. Use your ult. Use your ult right away. Right away. Right away. Oh, it's so close. Oh, the Mercy again! Oh, huge pulse. That might have damaged the Orisa, too. No! Oh, you weren't going to be able to win that anyway, but you know, just to kind of go back to what you said, you're like, oh, my DPS wasn't doing enough damage, so I thought I had to do a bunch more damage. I had to do this. I had to do that. What were they doing? All of that, right? That was what you were saying. I think you hard focus too much on the wrong things this game. You're running Sombra Tracer. The damage output from the other team is going to be higher regardless because you have 2 heroes that are more of like these style of heroes that go in for quick damage bursts and then they leave, right? They ran Reaper, they ran Ashe, they ran Cassidy, heroes that are more of that like poke damage, aggressive damage. You could argue Reaper has burst damage, but a lot of the time Reaper has that like really fast damage, then you have to shift out. But yeah, beforehand they were on cast. They're gonna do more damage. It's just the way the team comp goes. So because you hard focus so much on the idea that, oh, my DPS must just be terrible because they have less damage than the other players, you know, yeah, your Sombra had bad EMPs. Your Sombra probably didn't play perfect. Yeah, your Tracer had a bad blink or 2. But your Tracer was making plays. This is where you need to focus as working as a team, right? Now, granted, I do think that the tank played a little bit too aggro, and I think they probably took the Tracer's advice of, oh, you have to play Winston here a little bit too literal. It worked until it didn't. It worked until it didn't. Go Orisa there, I know. Go something else besides Winston against the comp they're running. Maybe it goes better, etc. But this is why I think you need to not focus so much on that. And it's funny because we just had a video on this too where the stats don't tell the whole story. It doesn't mean the stats can't show some stuff. But like, I see this time and time again with Sombra, with Tracer, where players expect the same damage output that an Ashe and a Cassidy are putting out. That's not going to happen. Because more often than not, they're going to do a bunch of really good poke damage consistently that gets healed up, and then they just do it again. Tracer is more about going in, either getting in the limb, doing a good amount of damage, and then getting out. Same with Sombra. There's going to be less damage no matter what. Doesn't mean you won't have games where Sombra Tracer out-damage that type of DPS line on the other team, but don't expect it consistently. Like, right away, you kind of stopped, you hard-focused on, like, the wrong, like, not the wrong thing from the get-go, but, like, I think you hard focused too much on that, and then that became an issue. Also, stop throwing your healing orbs when they have 5 HP to be healed. More damage orb value. It's kind of funny because you gave up so much damage opportunity when you said you needed to do more damage. You said, oh, I need to do more damage because my DPS aren't doing anything, and then started to throw healing orbs at the floor to heal the skybox that did no heals to begin with. When in reality, you probably, I'm not saying, I'm going to make up a number here and act like I'm smart with this, but like, you probably missed out on like 2,000 damage worth of just Moira orbs by just not, you know what I mean? Hopefully you can kind of see where if you can focus on the other stuff in this game, why it will go well, but just don't like automatically be like, oh, DPS has less damage than the other team. I got to play this way. Because I'm telling you right now, this was a very, very, very winnable game. And I actually thought there was a chance your team was going to clutch this. Almost did, but it sounded like your teammates kind of all had a different opinion on why the game wasn't going right, and you just couldn't get on the same page. And that's why it ended up being the way it was. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to all 3 YouTubes if you haven't. If you want to submit your own spectating, look in the description below. You'll see my Discord right there. That's where you can submit a spectating and a bunch of other things on there too. Also leave a comment. All of that helps. We also record these live on stream. If you look below the webcam, you'll see my Twitch chat right there. We have a lot of fun here, so stop by if you haven't. And with that being said, hope you all have an amazing day/night.